All right, guys, well, I'm back today with a video discussing the most underrated guns in the industry. A lot of times in person or online, I get a lot of questions about good high value gun options. And when I tell a lot of people some of my favorites, they always say, oh, I've heard they're not that great, or I wasn't really sure about that company, brand, or particular firearm. And it makes me think, what are some of the most underrated guns? So I dug into what people were saying online, in person, and really discovered some of my favorites that I feel like are underrated or undervalued. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did I get this right? And what are some of your guns that you absolutely love, but maybe some other people don't necessarily appreciate what they are? But let's dig in. And one of the very first guns I want to discuss is the Heritage Rough Rider 22 lineup of handguns. These are single action only revolvers that really mimic the old school single action guns that come in at an affordable price point of pretty much all the time under $150, and a lot of times actually closer to $100. I picked up this used one for $75, and a lot of people just snub their nose at them because they have little quirks like a safety on a revolver, or they're not made out of the greatest quality steel. But they work. They work, they work, and they work. I've practiced spinning and flipping single action revolvers with this particular one. It's hit the ground many of times and it just keeps working. I've got some of these Heritages up to 1,000, close to 2,000 rounds of just practice, and they always go bang every time you pull the trigger. Every once in a while I may have to tighten up a grip screw or, maybe tighten up one of these side screws, but they work out perfectly down at the range with no issues whatsoever. They're a tack driver, they function, and they're affordable. Now, I know a lot of people stand behind these guns, so there is pretty much a cult following, and I can understand why, but there's also a lot of people that just turn their nose up at these things. They're definitely worth taking a look at. One of my favorite guns you can get for $100 when you find them on sale. If you're interested in any of these options, definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. I've got full reviews and detailed reviews, as well as deal alerts and ways to save money. Also, check out my campsite page in the description below for some of the best opportunities to snag these at affordable prices. And you can follow me on my other platforms as well, like Twitter, Patreon, to get updates of daily deals. The next gun I want to discuss is actually from PSA, and that is their standard AR-15 lineup. Now, if you're looking at AR-15s, PSA is an industry giant, but there are some people out there who talk about PSA being a good entry-level gun and then maybe get something better when you save up money, or they're just not a fan of PSA for one reason or another. But guys, PSA is an insane company, and they're actually making the list 3 times, spoiler alert. And their ARs, in my opinion, are amazing mid-tier rifles. I wouldn't even put them as entry-level rifles. They are priced as entry-level rifles, and that's why I think people get confused. When they look at PSA, a lot of times they see a lot of their lower assemblies stripped for $30, or their complete lowers as low as about $119 right now with free shipping, and they think they can't possibly be good. They also see some of their uppers for right around $300 complete with BCG and charging handle with free-floating rail systems and think they just can't hold up. Well, I'm here to tell you, I have thousands upon thousands of rounds through PSA guns, and I've never had a catastrophic failure. And this one is my torture test rifle. If you're subscribed to the channel, then you saw the torture test of this AR, and this AR comes just shy of about $500, right around $450, and it survived 3 or 4 shotgun blasts, dropped from a 40-foot shooting tower, run over with a vehicle multiple times, and it still functions perfectly. You can see the impacts of the BBs. About the only thing that's messed up on this rifle is the detent that holds the dust cover closed. Is the only broken piece on this rifle after all of the abuse. The rail itself is not shifted or walked loose. It's still accurate. The BCG still functions great, and you'll definitely want to check out those torture test videos. But for a $450 AR-15, I would absolutely trust my life to it, and I feel like PSA does not get enough credit for that $450 to $500 price point. I think these guys are industry giants, And again, you can subscribe to the channel to check out some of those videos on that. Keeping with the torture test theme and the PSA theme, this is the Palmetto State Armory GF3, hands down the absolute best AK-47 you can get right now for $5.99. This is the blemished version, and no, it doesn't come in looking like this. This one was also torture tested, dropped on rocks, shot with a 12-gauge shotgun, thrown in the air countless times, and a burnout was done over it with like a Toyota Tundra. Now, there are some chips in the handguards from where either it hit the rocks or the 12-gauge shotgun blasted the side of it, but it still fires true, it functions great, and it took a lot of mud into the action and still cycled amazing. Now, the bad reputation doesn't necessarily come from PSA, in my opinion. US-produced AK-47s had a bad rap early on because companies, not PSA, but other companies, were using subpar components with different cast trunnions. So PSA does all forged front trunnions, bolts, and carriers, making them last a lifetime without the headspace issues that previous companies or other companies use in previous generations of AKs. PSA also has really nice triggers, solid furniture, good side mounts, and they just function down at the range. And for $5.99 for the blend version, it is insanely hard to beat. Again, all of those videos and info will be on the campsite page and my channel if you want to find some more info about that. The next underrated gun I want to discuss is the Palmetto State Armory, the Smith & Wesson M&P 1522 lineup. Now, a lot of guys really like these rifles. I am hooked. So I do a lot of night vision shooting on the channel, and I always utilize these platforms as a test bed for different IR lasers, night vision devices, quiet device hosts, and they just work. I have an original one of the very first ones that was produced, and I got about 30,000 rounds through it, and the extractor blew out the side. So they took it back after 30, and I'm not exaggerating, that was at literally 30,000 rounds. I was shooting 1,000 rounds a week through that gun, prepping for YouTube videos. I was learning how to film, I was practicing, I was doing target shooting with some of my in-laws, and I was bringing that gun out every week and going through 2 bricks of ammo with it. And I did that for well over 2 years. Now, not every week did we shoot 2 bricks, but you get the point. So Smith completely warranted the gun, put a new extractor in, rebuilt all the trigger springs, and it's been going for another 20,000 rounds. Now, that's not the gun I'm showing you here. They also have this new lineup with the M-LOK rail system. This is the pistol version. Now, I've heard a lot of people say when they pick it up, that's a plastic gun, it's going to break instantly. They're not. I've had so many rounds through this particular gun. They don't lose accuracy. They don't fall apart. They don't walk loose with pins and other issues. It's just a good gun. Again, well, maybe after 30,000 rounds, your extractor will break, but Smith will put a new one in for free and cover shipping, making them just awesome. I've had the most rounds through any other. This is the most rounds I've had through any type of gun ever. So the Smith & Wesson M1522, I'm getting a little tired here with my tongue. We've been talking a lot about these guns, but this one by far is one of the greatest 22 rifles, or in this case pistols, you can get, in my opinion, in the AR style setup. Even though they're plastic, even though they feel a little bit cheap when you pick them up, they're not. They just work great down at the range. And another gun I want to discuss is the Palmetto State Armory Dagger. These right now, especially if you head over to the campsite page and check out some of the Labor Day options, these are as low as $249 for complete setups. Now, these are a Glock 19 Gen 3 copies, so Gen 3 parts for either the frame or the slide are interchangeable. So if you had a particular barrel or set of sights or even slides or lowers you wanted to swap out, they're fully compatible with Gen 3 Glock components. The other cool thing is they sell complete slides with threaded barrels, slide cuts, raised slights, and RMR and doctor cuts for as low as $199 complete, ready to drop on a lower. And they sell the lowers as low as $49 complete, ready for a slide. So $250 for the gun you see here, obviously minus the optic, light, and mag, is an insane deal, and they just work down at the range. Again, I have a full torture test video on these guns. I've got a 1,000 round test on them, and I probably put close to about 8,000 to 9,000 rounds through the Palmetto State Armory Dagger series, and I've never had any failures. I may have had, I'm trying to think if I had like one light primer strike in the torture test where mud got in the action. I'd have to go back and look, but in a nutshell, they just work. They seem to be just as reliable as my Glocks, and I know that's a lot to say about an aftermarket pistol, but they just work great down at the range. They're accurate, they function, they're smooth shooting with all the add-ons and extra features. These things are probably one of the most underrated firearms in the industry right now. I know a ton of people are buying daggers, but guys, if you haven't bought one yet, do yourself a favor and grab one. Again, the information will be on the campsite page to find the best opportunities. Now I want to discuss my bonus gun. This is the AXA S4 M4 copy. So this is a Turkish imported shotgun that looks like that M4 style. All of these M4 styles work out great down at the range. I haven't had any issues with them. They function really good, and a lot of the Turkish shotguns get a bad rap for being cheap or quality or not quality components, but these M4 copies like the AXA S4 actually use good quality components and have been lasting an incredibly long time. In fact, PSA was selling some different versions, not this particular AXA S4, but different M4 copies, I believe coming from the same factory. I can't say that with certainty, for as low as about $319 or $350. So it depends on the version you were getting, but these were insane deals on some M4 semi-autos. A solid option in the shotgun category if you were looking for a tactical semi-auto shotgun and you didn't want to break the bank. So I hope you guys liked the video. I hope it gives you a ton of different options, a pile of guns right here that are underrated and undervalued. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What guns did I miss? What would you take off this list? And what would you add? I really want to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.